yourself?
For a minute. I'll be done soon. Here's my aluminum channel. As you can see, I've already done the work just to make sure that this is going to work before I went out of my way describing to somebody else how to fail. So this is absolutely a success. So what I've done is I took this out, I held it up to my trolling motor on the underside, found out exactly where it was going to bottom out. I actually notched it so it'll slip over the skeg it'll work like a key to keep it from wanting to rotate around. And then the other thing is this faded black line represents where the back of the transducer landed. This notch right here is notched for the cord to lay across in the channel and come out, go over the trolling motor, and then find its way right up the stem. And then up front here, you'll see that I've massaged this out. I used a cutoff wheel to notch it. Then I chipped out the pieces, and then I used a flap disc on the same grinder to create the curve. Now on the transducer, their cord comes right out the front, right on center. So you'll find right under here that I notched this. Now at the same time, what I did do is I took these rubber grommets, I laid them on where they would be flush with the front so that when it goes together it would be held tight. Same thing back here. When this thing is down inside there, ultimately it's going to be even with the top, so when it gets clamped on, it's going to be flush with the top and it's not going to go anywhere, or it's not going to rub through the wire. So one of the main modifications to the factory items of the transducer is this little star keeper here. Now this little keeper on the back of your boat would work as a slip joint, so if you hit something it would move out of the way. Plus you'll see right here it has the cable retention. Well, wouldn't you know that that thing with the little star, the external star, which would go into here, sanded off flush, that thing became a 1-to-1 fit inside my channel. Absolutely perfect. So let me go ahead and get this assembled. So for assembly, the first thing you're going to want to do is put on the first rubber grommet right up here so it's already in place. Alright, now that I have that grommet on, I want to fish this wire right up through here and just pull it all through. You want to get it all in there. Now that I have my wire fished all the way up in there, this is where it becomes kind of tricky, because you have to insert this in the slot, and you also want to make sure that you have this piece here, pardon me with the hands, right here, so when it goes up in there and pinches in, your cable stay, which is integrated into this plastic piece, will help keep the cable curving right around and staying inside the channel. So let me go ahead and get that fished up in there and at the very least get my bolt started. Alright, now that I have it in there, you'll find that I used all the original hardware, the rubber, the metal, washers, all the stainless steel that came with the transducer, came with the kit. Up here you'll see my split thing, and as you can tell, I mean, you got to do the best you can simply because the cord is on center, and they didn't think that through, I guess, not to put the cord above center or come out the top or something. So that being said, that's in there now. So the next thing I'm going to want to do is take my second grommet. I'm going to want to put it around the cord like so. And then I'm going to pinch it through the thing. So there, now as y'all can see, I got the grommet coming through, which my wire popped out, but it won't once it's mashed on, clamped on. And up here, if you can see down in there, you'll see I've got the cable stay pinched in, the grommet down here coming through. It's got a nice bumper on the front. A lot of metal was left up there. Now back here, if you'll look, you'll see that's notched. And the reason I did that is because when I slide mine on, I want it to slide in and lock into my keel. I want it to lock into that little skeg, that little keel that's on my motor guide, and then that's going to keep this from wanting to rock and twist around or kick around the back. So I did go out and held this up where it was going to fit, and I marked 2 spots, which are light right now because I did some buffing, but ultimately I'm going to be trying to slice 2 rectangle slots here and here, the width of a stainless steel band clamp, and then I'll mount that on with 2 band clamps right around the body. But there you have it. I will tell you that this here is recessed all the way back to here where it becomes flat. It's part of the design. It's not running on an angle, it's the design. So this 1-inch channel fits inside there. So it keeps it flat when you're doing your tracing all the way across. Now back here in the back, there's nothing really supporting the back. So I'm thinking about maybe on final fitment doing a marine bond on that. Now, I'm not totally sure yet because when this is in here, it is squared up and it's pretty tight. So I don't know if I have the same break-off fear I would have if it was just mounted on the back of the boat. But at the same time, I mean, a little bit of bond back here, some JB Weld marine bond, just to keep that back from wanting to come away or easily move. But for the most part, the skeg's going to be right here. So I'm going to be bottoming out on stuff like that first. I got a front bumper. So honestly, I am pleased. If anybody has any questions, you can ask. Like I said, it's a 1-inch OD wide by 2-inch tall aluminum channel. I bought online, 12-inch piece. I think it cost me $15 to get here. And I kind of just laid my transducer on the side, and I used a Sharpie and sort of like mimicked the drawing. I found the hole. I nailed it, first shot, front, both sides. And yeah, that's it. Little slot up here for the grommet, slot back here for the grommet, slot down here for the skeg to lock in. All I need is my 2 slits, and this thing will be a great little non-corrosive, no additional weight added. I mean, this piece of aluminum, of course, you know what aluminum is. It's very light. And I still have the rubber grommets. I still have the cable stay. It's just almost every piece that came with the transducers being used except this. This thing, there's not much you can do unless you can find some way to make this mount to that and then mount the front of this to something. But when you do that, remember, you're driving the boat from the front. You're hanging by nothing but that plastic tang when it's in here. And that seems to be everyone's complaint. The other option is to band it to something, and then you could mess up your sonar wherever your bands go all the way around. Sonar, side scan, whatever you're using. Who's to say that won't give you interference? I'd rather not have it to begin with. So, in a nutshell, there it is. The only thing it's going to get now is 2 slots, and I'm going to do one of 2 things. I'm either going to paint the whole thing black so it just matches, or I was looking on eBay, and you can get Hydro Dip paper that's covered in bass. So that might be pretty cool too. I might just dip the whole thing. I might do a Hydro Dip of the whole thing, transducer and all, so the whole thing will look like a bass. Who knows? Maybe I'll just paint it black and be done with it. But there you go. There's my $15, $80 savings if you think about it. And it didn't really take me that long to trim it out and cut it. Like I said, I used a cutoff wheel. Then I used a flap disc to massage it, finished it off with a half round file, cleaned out the inside and everything. So, yeah. Thanks for viewing. All right, Lowrance triple shot transducer users. Here's my completed trolling motor mount. You'll see that I roto-zipped my slots for the clamp to go around the motor. It'll be two 3/16 stainless steel band clamps. I did go ahead and radius the front just to take the sharp corners off. They were unnecessary. Plus, they're going to be a little bit more friendly on my boat cover when I wrap it, since this now will stick out farther down the bottom. But yeah, for the most part, that's it. She's done. All I got to do is just pick up two 4-inch 3/16 stainless steel band clamps and get it mounted on. Like I said before, this is going to slide over the keel, the little skeg, so it key locks in on this slot down here at the bottom. And when it does, that cord groove is right in line with my shaft on mine. And then, of course, my two clamp points are right on the body of the trolling motor itself. Now, when I clamp this on, I may use some maybe some rubber or something to protect between clamp and the body of the trolling motor, because anytime you put one metal to another metal, they react different, and they could cause premature corrosions that I don't have and corrosions I don't want. So you can't really overprotect when you're just trying to keep things lasting long and working well. The nice thing with this being 2 inches deep is this should actually buffer any trolling motor white noise, if you will, rather than if the transducer was actually clamped right up to it. So with that buffer and this piece of aluminum here separating the two, it'll be mounted like this. So that's a huge air gap. Not to mention it'll be flooded with water. So white noise shouldn't happen. Shouldn't have any interference from that respect. So anyway, in a nutshell, this is it completed. The only thing I did since the last video is I added these holes right here, all 4 of them for my clamps, and I radiused the front just to make it much more friendly on my cover. When I cover my boat anyway, I throw a real thick towel over the end of my trolling motor anyway. It just takes all the sharp edges off my cover anyway. I just have to make sure that I throw it out there and see to it that I cover this as well. So when I do mount it, the one thing I'm going to do is back here on the tail end is I'll put like a marine grade JB Weld 2-part bond. It's a paste. You pinch it, you mush it together, and then I'll just roll it in real tight like I'm rolling out a piece of dough. And then I'll mount this and I'll squeeze that and I'll bond it, and then that back end will have a bond to it, so it won't be swinging around. But for the most part, yeah, very pleased. A lot of money saved. I know that there's some people out there that make some really nice ones. I'm not knocking them. But at the end of the day, I don't see what I have that's really any less than what's out there. So good luck to anybody that tries. Ask questions. You'll see this upload also on YouTube. Share it, like, subscribe. Thanks.